1985 Yamaha Yz80. Check this thing out. Pretty cool. Thing is tiny. Good kid gone bad. It's pretty funny. There you can see the top end is off of it. Overall pretty clean looking though for 1985. Radiator cap missing. A bunch of gunk in the radiator. Definitely a cool bike though. Alright, we got her in the garage here. This bike is really cool looking. Alright, so the VIN, you can see it's on the frame somewhere over here. Right here. And what you do is you go 10 letters down, or 10 numbers. 10 letters and numbers in this case. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you come to an F. So the F lines up with 1985. So it is in fact a 1985. Pretty awesome year for the Yz80. As you can see, this one's a little rough. The top end is off of it, and the piston was pretty crunched. You can see it got hot in a couple areas. Looks like a little blow by from the rings as well. The holes were drilled in it, right there. And I believe this is 2 millimeters over, and I believe it's a bicycle piston. So, it is technically a big bore. Let's see what kind of rod we have in here. The rod feels a little sticky. You can see it doesn't have any side-to-side play, which is kind of worrying me. There's no side-to-side, no up and down play. So I don't know if that bearing got hot in there and just kind of seized up, or what's going on. Maybe it just needs some lube from sitting so long. The piston ring is crunched right there in that one spot. You can see it slid down the cylinder right there. I'll kind of zoom in so you guys can see the damage here. Right there. Got hot right there. Scratched down the cylinder and the piston. And right there too. Almost looks like a ring got caught or something in there. Like one of those clips. I wonder if the clip is in the other side of the piston. I wonder if that came out. Yeah, the clip is still in there. So it wasn't the clip that came out. We'll have to check out the cylinder. Maybe that'll give us some more ideas. But it overheated, and that ring got stuck to the piston, and then it scratched the cylinder wall. I'm wondering if the crank got too hot and then locked up those bearings in the crank. But we'll find that out later. Let's just kind of go over the whole bike and see what's going on with it. So, it looks like the brakes work. Yeah, brakes kind of work. Let's see the head here. Head doesn't look bad at all. No marks at all on the head. Plastics look pretty nice. Gas tank is here, not all dinged up or anything. Seat looks amazing on it. Considering a 1985, just one small rip right there. Back fender looks good. Looks like that's a aftermarket fender. Is it missing the plastic right there for that side? Oh, here it is. Got the plastic right here. Looks like that got hot right there and melted at one point. We've got the silencer. Baby silencer for it. And the pipe is pretty nice on it too. So here's the pipe. Not too bad. Look how small that thing is. That's pretty funny. But yeah, pipe looks good. And then we've got the cylinder and piston and bag right there. We're gonna go over that in a little bit. But obviously the front sprocket needs to be changed on this thing. It's worn down pretty good. Back sprocket as well. I mean, that's getting worn down, and may as well just get the chain in both sprockets at that point. It doesn't look like it got through the case here at all. I was a little bit worried about that, but no oil is leaking or anything from right there. And I looked at the bottom of the engine and I didn't see anything leaking or anything, or any weird splits in the case or anything like that. I don't know if it has spark. We'll have to check that out. And then let's see, let's take off all this stuff right now. It does have the air filter in it still. It just twists off like this, and you can take the whole air filter off. See, it's got the carburetor right here. Little baby carburetor. What kind of carburetor's on this thing? Mikuni? Yep. Mikuni carb. So, not too bad. Missing the radiator cap, like I said before. There's a bunch of gunk in the radiator. I don't know what that would be from. So the brake looks like that works. Clutch is hooked up. Got the kill switch. Obviously needs new grips. But yeah, it's pretty much complete. Not really missing anything. The front number plate's a little broken right there, but not too bad. So we are going to try to fix this thing up today. We might have to do an engine case split on it to check out the crank, maybe get the bearing replaced in there. I'm not sure. We'll have to kind of dig into it. And we'll need a new piston as well. Alright, so I ended up buying this bike for, I think it was $425. So it wasn't too bad. The guy said all it needed was a new piston, which might be the case, but the reeds look good on it. Those are fresh. No gaps in the reeds at all. Here's the cylinder. Kind of hard to see, but there's one scratch on it that I probably can get out with the hone. It's a very light scratch. You can kind of see it right in there. You can kind of see it down in there. And they already tried honing it out one time. I did a couple passes and it looks like that scratch is going to come out. So it's right there. You can't even get a fingernail on it. Very, very light scratch on it. But the cylinder looks good overall. No damage there or anything. So I'm kind of wondering why this thing overheated. I don't know if the radiator leaks or something and there wasn't any coolant in it. Or maybe the mixture was wrong in the oil. Not really too sure. Here's the head gasket. Doesn't look like that was blown or anything. A couple of the holes are like oval right here. Looks like maybe that got hot at one point. But yeah, not any damage that's so bad on this thing. So the cylinder overall looks good. Let's go take a closer look at the piston. I'm gonna go get that off of the bike and we'll take a closer look and see what happened. Alright, we got the piston off, and honestly the piston doesn't look that bad. Yeah, it's just one spot. It's right there. Right there is the spot that it got hot right there. Alright, I was able to get the ring out. And yeah, it doesn't look horrible. Looks like maybe it was just squishing the ring a little bit. Alright, let's take a look at the crank now. So I specifically asked the guy, is the rod bearing good? And he said, yep, it's good. No need to worry about the crank, the rod, or anything. It's all good. And when I bought it, there was a plastic bag wrapped around it. And I couldn't take it off because it was all taped up. So it's almost like he didn't want me to check out the crank. It's pretty stiff in here. You can see the rod doesn't move freely. Right here. It's just the crank moving. And there's like no side to side play. Look at that. I'm pushing really hard. It doesn't move side to side at all. And obviously no up and down play. So it's almost like the rod bearing is just like frozen. But it does turn over. So if you put enough pressure there, it will kick over. So that's interesting. But it just feels tight. And there's also a bunch of fluid in here. Like he was letting it sit with oil to try to get it to free up. So I'm thinking that bearing is the one that went, causing the top end to lock up. Because there's like no play in that rod. And it needs a little side-to-side play. Alright. Will she have spark here? Go like right to that thing. Alright, you guys watch and see if we have spark. I'll kick it over. Hopefully we do. I don't know if we're gonna have... All that crap is coming out of the cylinder, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Good blue spark. Alright, so that is good. At least we have spark. I guess we can kind of shift through the gears here too, just to see if it does shift. There's first. There's neutral. Second, third, fourth, fifth. I think there's a sixth gear, yes. So it looks like it shifts through all the gears. There's neutral. Alright, so that's good. Alright, the drain bolt for the engine is right there. You can kind of see it. Right where the wrench is connected to, right there. Up there is the drain bolt. So we'll get the oil out of this. See what comes out of here. Probably not too good. Ooh, blue oil. That's interesting. There's a little white in there too. Like coolant got in there. I've never seen blue oil before go in a transmission. That's interesting. That's definitely like pre-mix oil. It's kind of making a cool color, not gonna lie. Looks pretty cool. I think there's some cooling in there. Yeah, I've never seen blue oil in a transmission before. That's a first for me. Very interesting. So I'm guessing what they saw was two-stroke oil at the store, bought that and just threw it in the transmission. And maybe they didn't mix the gas. That could definitely be a possibility. But we'll let that drain out. Doesn't look like there's any metal chunks or anything in there. Looks like newer oil. Alright, let's take a look at the water pump here. Maybe that failed and caused this thing to overheat. Trying to figure out what's the cause of the problem here. How rusty that is. Oof. It's pretty loose on there. Man, look how rusty. That's crazy. Alright, I think we're getting it off here. There we go. Alright. Looks good in there. Not too bad. Let's see if the water pump spins here. Yeah. But look at that. The water pump's not spinning right now. Huh. I wonder if something broke in there. Because it should be spinning. Should be connected right to that crank. So I wonder if the teeth behind there are worn out. I'm not getting anything right now. Look at that. So I think that was the failure. I think the water pump was the issue. So it's not grabbing anything. Alright, got a couple of these bolts off of here. They're pretty stuck on there. Oh, that nut is on there. Oh, the green bars are out again. Works every time. Finally got her off here. Yeah, that was like Loctite on. Right now this cover should be able to come off, I would think. Might have to get the foot peg out of the way here. Underneath here. Gears don't look messed up on the water pump here. It's supposed to go in and out that much. Seems excessive. Oh yeah, that's stripped out. Look at that. Something's going on. Yeah, this is just coming right off. Huh. So I think, is that just glued on? Because there's no bolt hole or anything. How is that staying on there? What the heck? I wondered if you just glue that on. I'll have to look into that. But yeah, that's why that gear wasn't grabbing at all. Or it was grabbing and then it was just spinning this on the shaft. So that was just spinning like that and it wasn't spinning the coolant into the engine. So I think that was why it blew up. That just lost the bond to that, I guess. The rest of the cover looks good. No problems there. Let's check out the clutch. Oh, looks like the clutch basket's like really nice actually. Couple grooves starting right there, but nothing terrible. Oh, that looks really nice actually. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Ooh. Don't want to strip that out. All the other ones came off. Alright, we've got to drill this guy out. It's just stripped too bad. Alright, let's see if that does the trick here. What I like to do is take a screwdriver, then find the same width of a flathead. So it grabs a little bit, and just pound that in there. This bike doesn't fall here. See how that grabs? Aha! And it should come right out. That usually works. And then obviously try to get off all the excess aluminum shavings. Don't want that going into the engine here. Doesn't look bad. These are pretty squared off still. There we go. Clutch plates are all stuck together, you can see. Yeah. So the clutch went to work. Clutch nut is 19 millimeters, looks like. There we go. Doesn't look too bad. Clutch basket, you can see a couple little dings in it, but nothing too bad for 1985. Alright, everything else looks pretty good in here. All the gears are squared off. Looks like all the shifting mechanism is good. No worn out parts there. Yeah, looking pretty good so far. Alright, we got the mounts off, swing arm bolt out. Let's see if the engine can come out of here. Thing is so light. Holy cow. It's like nothing. Look how small this engine is. It's about the size of my hand. Isn't that crazy? It's tiny. Yeah, engine is out. Let's get off all this stuff. Flywheel. Shifter shaft. And we can split these cases. Alright, let's try to get the shifting mechanism off. There we go. Alright. Alright, flywheel coming off. If I can hold it here. I believe this is reverse thread. Alright, flywheel came off. Not too bad. Right, we can get the stator plate off here. Let's see, do we have to mark it at all? It looks like that mark up there is lined up directly with the mark on the case right there. So we don't have to mark it at all. All right, we got them to free up. So those bolts should come right out now, yeah. Stator plate should come right off there. All right. We've got to get all those screws out of there now. Bunch of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 of them. All right, let's try to split the cases here. That was easy. That was the easiest case split I think I've ever done. That was like nothing. Holy cow. These 80cc bikes are really easy to work on. If you're getting into building bikes and stuff, I recommend starting on an 80cc dirt bike. They're pretty easy to work on. Let's take a look at the crank here. You can't really see the crank bearings unless you've got this cover off, so. Oh, that bearing is toast. Oh man, doesn't even move. That's rough. That bearing's good, that bearing's good. Yeah, crank bearings are a little rough. Not moving at all, look at that. So, yeah, definitely needs a crank bearing replaced. At the minimum so far. Take a look at the crank next and we'll see what's going on. No teeth are worn off on the trans here. You guys see any teeth that are worn off? Doesn't look like it. Looks like this thing was taken apart at one point. Oh, look at, I think that's rod bearing material right there, all over the crank here. Yeah, so, guessing those are toast. Look at all that. So at least the trans looks good. Oh, that bearing's not too bad. This bearing at least moves. Gets stuck in a couple places, so. Yeah, it's a little rough in there as well. So, needs new crank bearings for sure. Take a look at the crank here. That doesn't move very freely. Oh yeah, bearings are toast in there. I don't know if you guys can see in there or not. Yeah, they're all welded together. Oh man, that is rough. That's why it's not spinning. And that's why there's no side-to-side play. See if I can dig a screwdriver in there. Chunk of metal coming out. Nope, big chunk came out. Yeah, the bearings are shot. Definitely overheated and seized in there. Yeah, bearings are pretty much non-existent. Looks like we need a new rod, new bearings, new crank bearings, a new water pump impeller, probably, new sprocket and chain, and yeah, so this is going to be turned into a pretty expensive build here. But at least we found out the culprit. I think it was that water pump impeller. Alright, so after we tore apart the engine, we found out that we needed a couple parts. So what we're going to do now is go make a list and price everything out and see if this thing is worth rebuilding. Obviously I'm going to rebuild it anyway, but I just want to see where I stand with the budget here. So we need the impeller on the other side, a brand new piston and ring. We need new bearings, new rod, and rod bearing, and then have it pressed in. And usually having that rod and bearing pressed in is around 80 bucks. At least that was last time I went to have it pressed in. It was $80, so it's not too bad. And then everything else looks pretty good actually, besides like the sprockets and stuff. But internally everything looks good. Flywheel looks good. We have spark. So everything like that looks good. Clutch looks good. Clutch plates are probably fine. Then everything on this bike looks pretty decent, like I said, except for the sprocket and chain. So yeah, we'll get everything back together and try to get this thing to run. Alright, we've got the parts all priced out here. 1985 Yamaha Yz80. We've got the crank rod and bearing. That's going to be $100, right around there. I'm having a really hard time finding the crank rod and the bearing. You can buy like the bearing, but you can't buy the rod. You can see connecting rod is gone on a bunch of different sites. So I don't think they sell them anymore, which I don't know if we can use the old one and just see what that looks like and maybe just buy the bearing for it. I'm not sure, but I'm having a really hard time trying to find one for it. So if anyone has one available, let me know. I'll take it off your hands. And I'll obviously pay you. But we've got the crank bearings, $28. We've got the water pump impeller. I think that one's fine. I think we're just going to glue that in. Sprockets and chain, $45. Grips, $12. We've got the press crank on. It's going to be 80 bucks. Piston and rings, 108. Gasket kit is 32. Oil is 8. Coolant is 4. And bolt kit is $25 because all the bolts are like stripped out. That came to a total of $442. The price of the bike was $425, which is a grand total of $867 for a running, driving, pretty decent bike. So we're right in that range. You can probably sell it, if I were to sell it, probably right around $1,200, $1,300. So there's a little profit margin there. I'll probably just keep it because it really doesn't pay to sell it if you're only making a couple $100. So plus it's a really cool bike and you really don't see them very often, and the rods look like they're discontinued, so finding parts for it is going to be pretty tough. But yeah, that's the list for the bike. $442 for everything isn't too bad. Plus that's like the labor of pushing on the crank and everything. So yeah. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. We will order all these parts up. So we'll continue the build next video, and hopefully we can get this thing running, driving, and I'll take it for the first ride. So anyway guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Stay tuned for the next video. And until next time, we are out.